What is up, everybody? Welcome to Liberty Libations number 1.
Uh-oh. 122. I'm Jake Green. I'm here with Alden, Hardee, and Zach Varnell.
You got to be kidding me right off the bat. That is unbelievable. Am I back?
Yeah, you're here.
Yeah.
That makes no sense. Whatever. There's no one even
Makes
on
perfect
this
sense.
internet. Well, yeah, welcome to episode number 122 or 123 or 124, depending on, how many times I've said that now. Yeah, I'm joined by Alden Hardee and Zach Varnell, who's normally behind the scenes, but he is on screen tonight. Y'all, I'm homeless, so I don't have a home. I'm staying with some friends, and I got a membership at this place called Switch Yards, which is a co-working space. And so, actually, I'll show you exactly what I'm dealing with here. Let me
Switch Yards. What a weird name.
it's called Switch Yards. I'm going to switch my camera and show y'all. I am in a whole facility right now. There are people all out there, and half of them are probably wondering what the heck is going on in here.
I thought you were going to say also homeless.
I'm in a phone booth. They say it's soundproof, but I can still hear all the music going on outside. So I don't think it's soundproof.
Sound resistant, yeah.
Sound resistant.
Well, you may be in a payphone booth and also using it for dial-up.
Yeah, no, it feels like a dial-up internet. I did a full show last night and didn't have a single problem. So, of course, it started right off the bat with this one. But anyway, welcome to Libations. Now that the crap show is over, we can get to real stuff. So, Alden, what are you drinking tonight, man?
A college staple that I haven't touched in a long time, a rum and coke, because it's like all I got left in the house.
A rum and coke. Okay.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's just as bad as I remember.
Zach, what are you drinking, man?
Nothing exciting. I just have a tangerine LaCroix because I also didn't have anything in the house. So
LaCroix.
There we go.
Yeah.
I went out and picked up some Ardbeg today. So I've got some Wee Beastie that I'm sipping on. Freaking delicious.
What we got?
Little bit better than a rum and coke.
I wish I started drinking scotch in college. I would be a different person by this point if I drank scotch in college.
We'd been far more pensive and thoughtful if we'd have started drinking scotch at that age.
I would have gotten, I think.
Or just severely alcoholic.
But then I would have probably dropped out of college.
Yeah, I don't think that would have affected anything.
Yeah.
Let's be real. That SCAD diploma is really paying off for me right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I majored in what I ended up doing, and I still probably wouldn't do it again. Like, nobody cares that I went to college. It's just they care, that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. No, this is why I tell every single person who asks me, like, my kid really wants to get into film. What college should they go to? You don't go to college. You go to a city where they shoot a lot of films and you become a PA, because you're going to learn everything you learned in film school in the first week of being a PA. Like, don't go to film school and spend tens of thousands of dollars on that.
Honestly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, y'all, we've got 3 good topics for tonight. I mean, they're all very annoying. The Real ID, the anti-Americanism, and the war on the autistics. But we're going to dive right in as soon as I remember to share my screen. All right, here we go. Let's watch this delightful lady talk about why we all need Real ID.
Hi, I'm Christine Ulm, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. If you plan on traveling, we need your help to prevent delays and to prove your identity. Get a Real ID. Starting May 7th, you will need a Real ID to travel by air or to visit federal buildings in the United States. These IDs keep our country safe because they help prevent fraud and they enhance security. Please do your part to protect our country. Go today and don't delay. To learn more, go to dhs.gov/real-ID. Thank you.
So I guess I'm driving everywhere. I don't know.
Okay, so that is Christine Ulm. And if any of you want to know the like massive irony of her being the person to announce that, she was the absolute best governor during COVID. She didn't lock down her state one single day. And here she is rolling South Dakota. And here she is rolling out a program that was founded by the founder of the Patriot Act.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
This was a recommendation of the 9/11 Commission.
Yep. Yeah.
Is it Michael Chertoff? Is that what you were saying yes to? Or?
What's that?
Is it Michael Chertoff? Is that that was a person that was involved in the Patriot Act? I don't know if it was like the one you're talking about.
He had a very confusing name. It's a very long name. I cannot remember it now. Let me see if I can find it.
There was.
Well, it's funny too because
obviously involved in it, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Zach.
Well, it's just funny that it's like a recommendation after 9/11, which would have done nothing to stop 9/11. Like, even if we take it all at face value that it was, the hijackers, they had passports from their home country that were good enough to fly.
Ones, actually.
Yeah, they stood up to
really sturdy passports.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. Like, I now need a passport because I'm not getting a real ID, but I have to now fly with my passport.
Is that the other option? You just even domestically have to have a passport.
I have to have a passport to fly from state to state now.
Is this truly starting in this month? Like
May 7th.
It's a real thing. This is actually happening.
Or get on a train or go into a federal building.
There's a better known.
How does it make sense though that like in order to fly from Sacramento to LA, you have to have the equivalent of a passport? Like you're not even leaving the state.
Yeah, that's so weird, man. This whole thing is.
But you don't need one to vote, or that's what some people want.
Well, I think this is. Honestly, I think the voting thing is how they're getting all the conservatives and MAGA people on board, because it's being pitched as this is voter integrity, I guess. Although there are certain classes of immigrants that can get real IDs, so it's not going to make a difference. Yeah.
Yep, it was passed back in 2005, and they're rolling out 20 years later.
Sounds like government.
Yeah, it does sound like government.
I'm sometimes glad they drag their feet on certain things, but it's just like government.
Well, if you want to, there's a really good article. We're not going to go through the whole thing because it's dense and it's long. But if you want to go read a really good article about it, Derek Bros put one out on March 27th. Zach suggested I go see if he put anything out on it, and he did. It's phenomenal. It's an extremely good article. Obviously, it's very long, so we're not going to go through the whole thing. If you don't know who Derek Bros is, go check him out. You can check out this article on the lastamericanvagabond.com. But go check out Derek Bros. He's very much in the fight against surveillance. He's in a documentary that Banished Big Brother was affiliated with, and Elizabeth Melton produced. And I think he's living down in Mexico because he didn't like the surveillance state.
Yeah. And it's long, but it's because it's thorough and it's in plain language. So it's not like you're reading a Rolling Stone article where you're just like, please get to the point. It's
exactly. Yeah. And he's very good on a bunch of issues. He does ruffle some libertarian feathers every now and then, but overall, Derek Bros
not hard to do.
Pretty good dude. Yeah. I mean, when you have issues with like the most popular libertarian on earth, Dave Smith, then people are going to have issues with you. And he has lots of, he doesn't think Dave's smart or good. So, yeah. Which sometimes he might be right.
I read that article.
I was just going to say, I feel like we're all sometimes not smart or good. Like, it's just like when you're a public figure like that, though, it's just easy to sort of attack someone for it or whatever. But we all have our moments, but whatever. Sorry, go ahead, Zach.
No, just saying, I read that article, and like what stood out to me is, libertarians will often make the slippery slope argument, which is, I guess, sometimes called a fallacy, except we see it happen all the time where things start.
historical precedent, like all over the place.
We see it all the time. So he talked about that, how, the real ID is the first step towards what they say they want, and they're already rolling out of mobile driver's license, or, an app on your phone that is your driver's license.
Yep.
And to me, it's like, that just seems like the worst idea. Do you want government app on your phone, like your phone that's capable of, fingerprint reading, facial ID, probably holds a whole lot of other sensitive information? Do you want to make it normal? Yeah. I mean, your Candy Crush save, whatever. I don't want to make it normal that I'm loading government apps on my phone and I need that to fly, or, there's always, I guess, the card right now, but in 20 years, we're going to be looked at like weird cavemen for pulling out a plastic card rather than just tapping our phone.
An option though, like, or is this going to be the only way that's accepted?
So I was able to get an ID without the real ID in it in Montana. And
is that the star thing that's happening on licenses?
The star. If it's got a star in the upper right hand corner somewhere on it, that's a real ID. And they won't always tell you that's what they're doing. So my wife got one, and she had no idea she had a real ID.
No, I have one. I had no idea, and I've had it for years.
Any different?
What's that?
Sorry, is the process any different when you're at the DMV? Like, if you get it without knowing it, like, is there anything different?
I don't think you would know if the process was different, because how many times do you go in to renew your driver's license? Like once every 7 years?
I've been a lot, because I've lived in like 4 states in 5 years. But
it'll also vary based on state as well. So like there's multiple issues with it, but that's definitely one. I mean, Ron Paul brings up, what he normally does. What is Kristi Noem doing? Real ID is tyrannical, authored by the same author of the Patriot Act. So
I think Montana is one of the last states to not implement it. So I don't even know if you could get it if you wanted to, which
I could.
How would you?
I can, but I chose not to.
Okay, so maybe they're one of the last states to not require it.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. I just was in Florida, and when we were like buying liquor at one point, someone was talking about the star thing. I'm like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, I'm from Georgia, I don't have it. Like, so I didn't even know that's what that was, the star.
Yeah. Yep, that's what it is, and it's extremely disappointing. It was one interesting thing in Montana. I was able to get my license by going into a AAA, facility. They were able to give me a license and
insurance, AAA, or
like the roadside folks.
I didn't know they still had locations.
Yeah, they do in Montana.
I thought it was just like in India or something.
What?
A call center. That's like when you just have a problem or whatever. Just
gotcha. Well, why don't we listen to some of what the great Ron Paul has to say? We're not going to listen to this whole thing because it's 5 minutes. But
no one has the attention span for 5 whole minutes.
Well, I'm not gonna. This isn't the Ron Paul show, Alden.
It's fine.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the weekly report. Real ID, phony security, real authoritarianism. Those who hope the second Trump administration would reject big spending, war, and restrictions on liberty continue to be disappointed. A new disappointment came when Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announced her department would in May begin enforcing the Real ID law. Passed in 2005, the Real ID Act created federal standards for driver's licenses. The law requires everyone applying for a driver's license to provide the DMV with his social security number, proof of legal residence, and 2 proofs of his home address. The Real ID Act allows the Homeland Security Department to mandate as it seems fit the including of additional items in the related government database, including biometric identifiers. Biometric identifiers include personal data such as retinal scans and fingerprints and DNA. People who doubt that this database will be used to violate the rights of U.S. citizens should ask what a present-day J. Edgar Hoover, a former FBI director who was notorious for collecting private information on politicians and other prominent individuals, would do with a database containing personal and even biometric information on American citizens. They should also consider the IRS's history of targeting presidents' political enemies. Americans also have the threat of violations of their rights by hackers.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, he's exactly right. And one of the biggest issues for me, so back in the day, do y'all know of the program called Clear? When you're going to an airport?
I've seen it, but
they basically use, like, to sign up for it, you scan your retina and it gives you priority access. You don't have to take stuff out of your bag, all that kind of stuff, and you get through security quickly.
They always put the convenience with it of something to get people on board with it.
Like, I signed up for it, like 10, 12 years ago before I ever got into any of this stuff. I regret it now, but Clear works in hand, like in tandem, hand in hand with the government. And so all of my retina stuff, everything that they got from that is now going to be part of my Real ID file, which is extremely unfortunate.
Last time I was flying through Miami, the lines were short, thankfully, so no one was really going for it. But there was somebody standing there being like, "You want a free trial of Clear? You get to bypass the line and go in right now."
Yep.
And I'm like, if the line were crazy, there would be people who are like, "Sure, scan my retina, just let me pass this line." But
I just get to the airport early, and I don't have to worry about it.
Alden, have you flown out of Atlanta Hartsfield any time recently?
Out of? No, into though I have.
Into is easy. Out of, man, there's sometimes where the line goes through every single turnstile, like every single expansion, and then out into the food court, and then wraps all the way around the food court, which is about a football field in length. So, like, there are going to be times when even 2 hours isn't going to be enough. At the
yeah, because that's usually about what I leave myself, is about 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah, but they'll like, that's how they get you. They'll stand there and be like, "Look, if you got Clear right now, you could be on the other side of the security in 5 minutes."
Another link with 9/11 is basically when TSA was, the way we know it now was born. It was after that and made things unnecessarily more strict and tedious and time consuming and random, where they pull certain people out and do more thorough inspections. And
it's not random.
And has found nothing,
Yeah. It's not random. I get my bag gets flagged every single time.
Dude, me too. What's up with that?
Every single time.
They know we're libertarians. I don't get it.
And dude, like, you're right. They don't find anything. They failed 94% of their tests. A guy got a hand grenade through security by putting it in a Starbucks cup, handing it to the TSA agent, saying, "Can you hold this for me?"
That's how.
And
that's how what's his name? Snowden got the chip out. Was he had it in the Rubik's Cube and he tossed it to the security guard. He's like, "Hey, ever figure out one of these?" As he goes through, and there's like just messing with it, gives it back to him. That was how he got the chip out. His little data leak or whatever. Anyway, it's a good trick.
It's a great trick. Like, you're holding a Starbucks cup, no one's going to think a grenade is in there.
It's a heavy coffee.
But it's not just that one. Like, they fail 94%. People get guns through, people get bombs through, people get knives through, people get so many things through security.
It's the illusion of security.
It's the illusion. Yeah.
And like, only like 1 or 2% of things that come in by boat are checked, or like, in terms of like freight and things like that. And like, who knows what's coming in through other means. So I don't know.
Yeah. It's weird. And like, she didn't actually reference anything that it was going to secure in her video. She said for security purposes and to prevent fraud.
Yeah,
fraud.
But
I thought
not even saying how,
like hijacking or bombings or something like that. Like, what is Fraud? What fraud? Some people flying under somebody else's name, which we didn't even have to give IDs. Also, calling it real ID makes me think, okay, what were all the IDs that I had before this? Were they real?
Yeah, I was going to make that same joke.
Well, and it really takes
real apps joke.
Like it takes a Republican administration to get this through too. Because like if Biden or Kamala or somebody were president right now, everybody would be like, oh, hell no, we're not doing this. We're going to resist. We're going to use the 10th Amendment, all this crap. But now they're just like, oh, okay, it's, what Trump says. We're doing it for voter security. We're good.
If you attach it to the other.
Some quack said, once at a stadium, the guy in front of me put 2 large knives in the tray, went through the detector, retrieved the knives, and went on his way.
If you're just confident, you just go like, yeah, I'm just going to put this fucking knife in this tray and then just pick it back up. Yeah, that was going to say a Bowie knife for some reason. Yeah. Or a Bowie knife. I guess it's pronounced Bowie knife, but it's spelled like Bowie. I don't know. It's stupid.
Well, it's named after a guy who fought in the army.
But isn't it Bowie? I don't know.
It's been pronounced both ways.
Really?
I grew up on Texas history, and everybody pronounced it different, like the two different ways.
I've heard it both ways. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Sorry, Zach. I
never know.
Took the fire out of what you were saying. Repeat, or just give a brief summary of what you were just saying.
We got hung up on the back.
At this point, I don't remember.
Oh,
I think I got it all out.
Okay. Brian says he took a kettlebell through security one way and then got stopped for it on the way back.
Oh, see, there's a hilarious thing, the inconsistency where now you're trapped with it. You got halfway with it. That's so dumb.
Yeah. I had a manager once who, he was kind of flighty already, and he had a gun, but he wasn't a gun guy at all. And he was moving to like St. Croix or somewhere crazy. Okay. And he took the gun to the airport, locked up all the stuff you're supposed to do, took it to the counter. And apparently that person gave like awful information or was just telling him to hold on. But he took it as like, you're good, go through security with it. He got it through security, flew with the gun, got to St. Croix, and they found it. And were like, I think, yeah. And then they're like, wow, he got in trouble when he got there. And it was,
wow. See, if you get there with it, that's on them. Like I don't understand how that's his fault at this point. That's hilarious, actually.
I bet he was, he was probably going there to assassinate the leader of St. Croix. That's probably why he's trying to
clearly.
Which I could be forgetting the island, and it could be that I'm, holding a LaCroix that I'm thinking that, but it was some island like that.
Assassinate the leader of LaCroix. I almost said that. Here's another. This one is infuriating. Here's another ad for digital ID, wallet, real ID, all this garbage.
Hello, everyone. Meet Lucy, student in psychology, and me, her digital ID wallet issued by the government to offer a wide range of identity services. In fact, I'm a handy way of proving and protecting her identity, both online and face-to-face. Let's have a closer look at what I can do. I can help governments to better communicate with citizens. Right now, I'm reminding Lucy of the appointment she needs to schedule for her mandatory vaccination.
Oh my gosh.
Mandatory. Love that.
Time to go to her exam. Lucy is a bit stressed out. I'm here to make it easy for her to prove she is the right candidate, with a quick and secure connection between her phone and the examiner's.
Can't fake QR codes.
No, it's not possible.
Exam passed successfully. Quick stop at the doctor's before celebrating, and no time to lose. On the way, Lucy uses me to declare her passport lost. She needs it for her upcoming road trip. No issue. She can request an emergency digital passport without having to go to the authority office. I make official admin a lot smoother. And that's not all. I can also help Lucy request a birth certificate, pay her taxes, or prove who she is when onboarding to new services, such as opening a bank account. I allow Lucy to certify her healthcare coverage entitlement. she's able to decide whether to authorize the doctor to access her medical records or not, ensuring her control over her personal data.
Oh, I like that it's
Lucy
making this
needs
about
one more
her.
thing
She's
before
in
being
control
all
now.
set for her trip to Australia, renting a car. I help her share her driver's license credentials online so that she doesn't have to wait hours in a queue to collect the car when she gets to Brisbane.
Convenience.
The rental company benefits from secure and accurate information,
Ooh.
and Lucy from a smooth experience. Lucy's friends are waiting for her inside the bar. To allow her to get in, I simply generate a QR code that proves Lucy is old enough, so she doesn't have to share all her ID details with the bar staff.
Woman in my
So yes, I'm Lucy's best companion. I protect her identity and official credentials wherever she goes. I provide secured access to public and private services and allow her to have full control over her data privacy.
Okay, I'm at
In
least
other
seeing
words,
that she's European.
I give the right
That feels a little
access to
better.
the right data to the right
Oh, it
person.
makes more sense.
I am
with
also
roads.
trusted by
American,
governments to best
voice
support
stuff,
countries'
very-
digital transformation, fight against ID fraud, and deliver smooth public services. I am the Thales Digital ID Wallet.
Yeah.
At first, I thought it was a joke when they said the mandatory vaccination. I'm like, okay, this is going to be like propaganda for good. But no,
that's why I was laughing. It sounded like seriously like satire in my mind. At least to me, it rings that way because it's so absurd. But
some guy says so. A broken phone screen just ruins your life, I guess.
This is another problem. That's why I was
battery.
asking if this is, you know, with the way this is going, like, are they even going to still accept plastic cards? Because what if your battery dies? Is what I was going to say. Or, you know, not even like in the solar flare, power grid hack, whatever. Just a normal day of your battery die. You go camping or some shit, or I don't know. You forget your cable when you go somewhere, whatever. Yeah, or you drop your phone in the river or some shit. I don't know. Like, I don't want to have that be like the only way for things. I don't like it.
The really sad thing. I mean, the really sad thing is that, you know, I think I would bet that more than half of our country, after seeing a commercial like that, would be like, "Oh, this is awesome."
Yeah, probably close to
without,
right. As
without understanding
with that.
It's so difficult to explain and like get somebody to truly understand the dangers of this kind of thing. Like I'm not sure it can actually be done in any real way. At least I don't think I could.
Very hard because
yeah,
it's a collective sort of like the way that someone's thinking. It's not just this one issue, and it's hard to separate, and it becomes like, this is like when we get into the identity politics thing, and like your ego gets very attached to it, and you get protective of this and a history of doing this, and the people around you, and the older you are and the longer you've been doing it, and like you get really like this a lot of dissonance when you try to shift out of that. And I think most people are more comfortable just, you know, in the track that they already kind of are. And it's a pretty normal thing. But when you get into the politics of stuff, it's been getting, I think, aggressively more like in the modern times attached to identity. And I think it's getting harder and harder for people to sort of look at things like just as a case by case thing without attaching like an idea of themselves to an issue based on, like we were just talking about the way to get this sold to more right-leaning people is to like attach the concept of like the whole voter and the ID thing or whatever to it, which is something that's already, so now you're like piggybacking on something that culturally is already like widely accepted in a certain group and that people align with or whatever. And so if you start to attach it to that and then you piggyback something to it and to it and to it, this is where we are, where it's just very complicated and it's really hard to separate. And it's very hard to just talk about one issue at a time without someone bringing all this other stuff consciously or unconsciously to it that's been attached to it. But I do think purposely attached in terms of as it's packaged to us. But
yeah, 100%. And I'll come back to that in a second, Alden.
Sure.
Some talk says it's already happening. I don't use one of those things, and it's exceedingly hard to be admitted anywhere. Yep. Yeah. And yeah, man, like when you I don't know. I mean, I think it's obviously innate in humans to want to be and feel safe. And And I also
part
think
of a group and
part of a group
secure
and
in that. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. As well as I think, you know, all animals want convenience. Like, and the proof of it, like, it gets proven to me over and over again, watching bears and deer and elk choose to walk down my road where all the humans are that can kill them rather than walk through the woods. And like
easier travel. Yeah.
Yeah, easier
You're spending
travel.
less energy. Yeah. Yeah.
It's convenience. You're expending less energy. It's taking less effort. And the tendency, I mean, clearly is people crave that and continue to crave it and want more and more of it until it gets into the hands of the wrong people and becomes a severe problem. And I think people think, well, this is America, there's no way that's going to happen. Or they think, well, that's so far away that if we start seeing signs of it, we'll change course. Well, I think I think we're already there. Like,
in a lot of ways, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think the Patriot Act, man, I think that was the beginning of the end, for like the whole government control, surveillance, watching your tracking every single thing you do.
It was like a cornerstone turning point kind of thing that marked the modern era, I would say, in surveillance. I really think it was like the point that it started to veer there.
Yeah. Grumpy says, I'll save y'all a spot in the exercise yard.
Yeah.
Thanks, Grumpy.
Some fact was saying too, with like having a harder time getting accepted into areas. I feel like COVID for me was a trial run, and that I got really used to not getting accepted into places, and so I don't know, I'm chilling, man. I don't need a lot, and I think there's probably at least enough people out in the world that will see things similar to how we do, I hope, and the values will be strong enough in some people that that's a chunk of the economy here, basically, like that money is not going to go to certain, like whether it's travel or if restaurants start doing or bars or whatever it is. I'm hoping that adoption is crippled is my real hope, and just that this doesn't happen, but at least slowed because of this.
So I think the natural progression, obviously this takes a long time, migration takes a long time, but I think the natural progression would be like governments keep on proposing more and more things that imply safety and convenience, people continue to adopt them over time, whereas people like the three of us and a lot of the people we know will resist and not do that. And eventually we will end up in little like physical pockets, like near each other over time. Because I think that would be the only way to actually be admitted into places that you want to get into. Would
Can
be
we start
people like us.
Cities?
What?
We should start dumb cities instead of smart cities. Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of this. But then, so here's the thing with that though, like our numbers will be smaller, and over time we will be the other folks, the other 80%, 85%, 90%, whatever it is, will be told that we are the danger. We're the ones endangering everybody's lives, and we will be the ones targeted.
That sounds so familiar. Yeah.
It sounds pretty dang familiar. It happened once with COVID. It can absolutely happen again with something much. I mean, so many things are worse than COVID. Like, let's be real. And so I don't think it's that far of a stretch to.
So many things are worse than COVID itself. I feel like the reaction to COVID was
that's what I mean.
Damaging, but
I was saying the actual disease. The actual disease is, I mean, basically gone at this point. It's still there, but it's not. I don't think it's killing anybody anymore. If it is, it's very few people and people with.
I feel like if it were, I would hear about it from like the news, because the news loves to, even before you get into the messaging and the specific politics of it, just playing up a scare or whatever. Oh, speaking of news, just as a total side story, did you guys see I just saw a clip of it. I didn't see the whole episode with the Joe Rogan where he's talking about the Times article.
Yeah.
Gnome cities, yeah. I would live in a gnome city. where he's talking about it's the New York Times, and they're saying they've debunked RFK's just one detail where he's talking about the Fruit Loops versus, you know, American Fruit Loops or versus the Canadian Fruit Loops.
Oh,
and they're like debunked, and then they're like, except for these, it's the same except for these chemicals or items or food dyes
five things are different. It's like,
and he's like, that's what he's talking about. Like,
those are the things.
The world that we live in. We're getting like gaslighted by, you know, the largest, some of the largest media and, you know, politicians, whatever. It's insane.
Yeah. But they know that people don't read past the headline, so they read the headline. RFK Jr. lied. He's wrong. He's debunked. And then it's somewhere towards the bottom of the article, probably, that actually gives the real information that people don't read that long. And they know people don't read that long. So they have plausible deniability where they can be like, well, we put it in the article.
Yep. There you go. I think that's exactly right. I think most people just scan headlines, and a lot of people either aren't interested or don't have a lot of time for it. I was just visiting my family in Florida, and I was talking to my sister a little bit. We were staying up late. The kids were asleep. We were watching a movie, and we got talking about some of this kind of stuff. And I was trying to gently sort of like, you know, give different sides of things and kind of steer her a little bit. She's much more, I would say, just whatever, impressionable or like affected by the media in general. And I'm like for years, I've been very, very jaded by, you know, what the media has to say. And I've not been, I honestly assume the opposite is true before I'll assume what they say is true. But we started talking about COVID related things, and she brought up the ivermectin stuff or whatever, and was making fun of people taking horse paste or whatever. I'm like, whoa. I was like, and I just asked her the general question of like, do you know, even like, without even getting into the whole, like the CIA documents before COVID talking about ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine being known, you know, as aids for the you know, cures or whatever for the disease. Not getting like super conspiratorial with her. I just was like, do you know what ivermectin is though? You know, outside of that, she's like, it's for animals, right? Where I'm like, it's one of the most prescribed to people in the world medicines. But this is what I'm saying. It's like this, to Zach's point of like, people just hear or read headlines.
Yeah.
And are affected by these like, just like little tidbits of information and not reading the whole article, or not even just Google the word ivermectin or whatever and just read about it and find out the truth beyond what's pitched to you with a spin. So I just thought that was interesting and told her about that. And all it takes is just boop, boop, boop. There you go. Like, this is how many were prescribed across the world to humans, you know, and it's like, it's, you know, not only just for animals, but of course animals can get parasites too or whatever. So it's safe for a lot of different things to take. Anyway, whatever. Just as one detail, you know.
Amoxicillin is given to animals. That doesn't mean that it's only for animals.
So. Right.
You know, I heard water is also given to animals. It doesn't
true.
Only for animals. Yeah, that is interesting. What are y'all's thoughts on, so with the COVID thing, they started implementing the COVID passport and everything.
Yeah.
This whole Real ID is a different kind of version of that. It's a different version of that. The issue I have, and passports and all that kind of stuff. So we have a human right to travel where we want to travel. Like it's born in us. It's not granted to us by governments. It should be protected by governments, but it's sadly not. Me and my wife, we travel. We love to travel. We want to see a whole bunch of places around the world. And so I guess my question is, like, at what point does it become immoral or unethical to buy into these things, to get a passport, to get a Real ID, to be a part of these systems, in order to go use your God-given rights? While I'm sitting here also preaching, you should not get a Real ID. You know, like, it's a little conflicting for me, because like me and my wife are definitely going to keep traveling around the world, and we're definitely going to have to get crap like this to do so. So, like, I don't know, what are y'all's thoughts on something like that?
I would say it's a similar conundrum as someone who doesn't want to lose their job and wants to be able to feed their family, but didn't want to get a vaccine, and then is faced with a tough decision. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that could speak to the pressures there. And you want to keep up either a way of life or something that has positive effects, and you're faced with a choice. And I think a lot of the time, we were talking about convenience being sort of packaged with a lot of these things to lure some people in. Then there's the other side where there's like fear, and the fear of losing your job, or the fear of not being able to do something, or the fear of not being safe or whatever. And I think this one has a little bit of both to it or whatever. And if you want to be able to have the benefits of travel or whatever, then it's a choice that, you know, you kind of have to make. Or if it's like, you can only go by boat or by car, but not by plane, then it's like makes your travel a lot more challenging or time consuming or expensive or whatever. And so,
yeah,
I don't know. I just, another parallel with like the COVID thing.
Yeah. And like, what's like, there's no real way to fight against any of this that will impact you in the near term. Like, it took 20 years for it to get implemented. It's going to take 100 years for it to get taken away, if it ever does.
That's a good point. Yeah. So like, Zach, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, I don't know that it's necessarily like immoral for the people to get it. And most of the time it's not going to be a conscious choice anyway, but like it just happens and you didn't know what it was about. Like one day I renewed my license and it got there and the star was on it. So I have a real ID. I had no idea what it was at the time. Yeah. And then, you know, the same thing's happening in airports with like this facial recognition that the TSA is using. They have people come and like look at a camera, their picture's taken, and it's facial recognition between that and the ID they have on file. But people do not know that that's what they're doing. There's no signage to tell them.
Don't show us your license. It's got your number.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh my God. I fucking have it. That's ridiculous. I didn't even realize.
There we go.
Yep.
I wanted to just do this in real time, like case in point, where I'm like, we're over here talking about it, and like I'm one of the. What did you say? It was Nikki or someone that didn't even realize that they also had it, but anyway.
Yeah, it was Nikki.
Hey.
And yeah, we're talking real ID still, Nick. If you wanna hop in. Yeah, and to hit on something that Zach about, those camera things when you're going through the airport, they give you an out. You can opt out, which I opt out every single time.
It's very easy. They don't even make a big deal of it.
No, they're just like, okay, let me see your ID. And then they just look at your ID and look at you and are like, okay, go ahead.
But 99.9% of people have no idea it's even happening. So they don't know they can opt out. They don't even know it's happening. But
Nick, we can't hear you.
Muted. And they do put up signs that are very word heavy that say you can opt out. And in Miami, there was only one, and it was in Spanish.
So, really?
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's a problem.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah. With last time I flew, they actually were saying, "Do you want to do the camera or do you want to opt out?" They were just straight up asking, and I'm like, "I'm opting out." They're like, "All right." And so.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, I like that they asked you. That's
at
good.
Least, yeah.
That might just be that TSA agent's style, and they know that what they're doing is not great, so they're trying to give people the out. That's very cool.
Possible. That'd be interesting to know if it was like
just libertarians infiltrate the TSA and just be like, go ahead.
Take your grenade, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe like the Simpsons episode where if you don't have a gun, the alarm goes off.
Stephen says real ID for Georgia happened at the same time they removed the exemption for wearing seatbelts in trucks.
Huh. Well, that's probably one of the things where it's like they hold up federal highway funds if you don't do what the feds say. So one of those was seatbelt. Probably pickup trucks even. I know like a lot of pickup trucks used to not even have seatbelts, so they weren't required.
Is this just like a mass thing? Like they're just big enough that you're like, you'll be fine. Like,
honestly, I think it was just a practicality. It's like, well, they're not making them with seatbelts, so we can't enforce it. Like,
The type of person that drives a truck is going to not wear the seatbelt anyway, so we don't even put it in there.
I remember like driving around with my dad when I was a kid, and like there was a lot more roadblocks up in North Georgia. I've never experienced a roadblock down here and near Atlanta, but there was all the time. And sometimes they would do it just to check for seatbelt. Yeah, like cops blocking and
so they do everybody. The roadblock for checking seatbelts when you can
they did
literally get stopped and see blue lights and you don't think I'm just gonna put my seatbelt on now. Like,
well, I guess they look for it, but we were in his truck. They waved him through because it's like it doesn't matter if he's wearing a seatbelt because it's not illegal at the time. So
I used to love just the concept that school buses never had seatbelts when I was a kid. I don't know if they do now.
I have no idea if they do. They've got to have seatbelts now, right?
They probably do, right? I don't know. I
mean, the short ones did, but the big ones never did. So
how do you know, Nick?
I was kidding.
How do you know about the short ones, man?
I was like, how many times have you been on the short bus, Nick?
Oh, I'm just saying, everyone's been on one on occasion. I don't know.
I'm just saying, I strapped in every day in middle school.
We probably shouldn't call the guy who's about to beat us at trivia a retard.
As far as
start a war on the autistics here.
At least as far as Pennsylvania with real ID goes, I don't believe it's mandatory here still.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I mean, like when I moved whenever I first got my license, real ID was already a thing.
Yeah.
But so I think they already had all the documents. I don't know if they were actually issuing real IDs at the time. And then when I moved to Texas and when I moved to Georgia, they forced you into the real ID thing. And when I moved back here, I had the option and they give you, but they already have all my stuff anyway. So it's like, just give me the damn thing because you've already got the info. And so
I wasn't even told there was a difference.
Like if you like the real IDs had to be processed and mailed to you. If you got the non-real ID, the non-real ID Pennsylvania driver's license, they printed out. Actually, even though I did the real ID thing, they printed me one without it and said, "Here's one in case you lose yours."
Well, there's an NFC chip inside the real IDs. Same with the passport. Really? They put these chips in there that, like, I had to scan my passport with my phone in order to activate it. It's wild.
It is wild.
Yeah, I haven't traveled since getting a passport renewed, so I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, I just went to Florida, but I drove.
Yeah, well, that's good.
To deal with this, but...
Well, yeah, we spent 48 minutes on the first topic, so we're going to move on to
I guess
to the anti-Americanism, and I've got a clip that we will watch right now. This is Sam Harris and Doug Murray, two of the people who talk the slowest and seemingly smartest, but in reality, dumbest. So here you go.
Dave Smith's non-expertise is a complete failure to appreciate the reality of jihadism and just what Israel is actually dealing with in Hamas.
I believe that it's also a strain of anti-Americanism and anti-Westernism, which is a belief that nobody in the world can do something wrong and bad unless we have somehow pushed them to it.
Yes, this is Noam Chomsky's gift to our politics.
Yes. It used to be on the left, and now it's on the right as well. Yeah. This is a profound and deep anti-Americanism, which I cannot sign up for. I will not. Profound anti-Westernism. I completely reject this, and I reject it for many reasons. But one is that riding shotgun with the claim that only the West, only America can lead anyone to do bad things is what you rightly identify, Sam, as the utter inability to recognize that some people seek utterly different things than we do.
Okay, so that's Douglas Murray and Sam Harris talking about this, and this is a tweet from Liam McCullum. I detest this idea. I detest this idea that libertarian critiques of American foreign policy are anti-American or anti-Western. It's because I love America, the West, and the wisdom of the founders that I reject the post 9/11 interventionist foreign policy. So what they're basically, hang on a second. I'm getting a massive echo.
I think it's Alden. I was just muting him, and it was going away when I muted you. So
really,
is there any way
I don't know.
turn down the sound in your headphones? Because I think it's coming through your headphones into the mic.
Oh yeah, sure.
Try
that. Is that better?
That's much better.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
That's killer. Okay, good.
I'm gonna try one more, and then you tell me if there's still an echo, because then I can't hear you. But
okay,
is that all right?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, cool,
perfect.
Sorry.
No, you're all good, man.
I'll move my mic a little further.
So Alden, I'm sure you did.
You know why? I'm using open back headphones. I need to get some closed back headphones because it just spills sound out.
There, yeah, that makes sense.
It gives like a cool room sound for like if you're doing like concert hall sound or like movies where I love them, but they bleed a lot of sound out. So
yeah,
that's
what mic are you using? Maybe you need something that's more directional.
It's a room mic. It's a shitty blue mic or whatever. Where's my camera? There we go. It's like it's a very not focused mic. Yeah.
Yeah, you should look into one of the Sures or something where it's.
Oh,
it's
I've
much
got
more
a Shure. I just haven't set it up yet. Yeah, I've got like 4 different.
Let's not have a production meeting.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So Alden, a couple weeks ago, Dave Smith went on Joe Rogan, and he basically had a conversation / debate with the British guy in this, Douglas Murray, about Ukraine, Russia, and Israel, Hamas, during which basically, I mean, he was taken out of context a few times, but basically Douglas Murray said that if you are not an expert on the subject, you shouldn't be talking about it to millions of followers like Dave Smith does. And they're now accusing him and libertarian ideas of being anti-Western and anti-American, by basically saying if America isn't like, if there's some type of turmoil in the world, then America had to have had a hand in it. And it's just the most ridiculous claim. It doesn't stand up to any type of criticism. The first being, like, there are plenty of places on earth that Dave Smith would be like, yeah, they shouldn't be doing that. Like Myanmar, the genocide in Myanmar that's happening right now. Like, I don't think America has any real hand in that. And I think Dave Smith would still condemn it. And I think libertarian ideas would still condemn it as well.
Or this potential Pakistan-India civil war that's about to potentially kick off.
Yeah.
That's, as far as I can tell, nothing to really do with us.
Yeah.
You know, that's historical boundaries and stuff coming out of the British, but the actual conflict in and of itself is kind of confined to those two actors.
Yep. Yeah. And so there's just a whole lot of debate going on online with people really picking sides between experts and podcasters. And basically saying you can't have an opinion unless you've been there. You can't have an opinion unless
been there.
You can't have an opinion unless you are truly an expert on whatever it is you're talking about.
How do you define being an expert?
That
having a British accent.
And an English degree from Oxford.
Yeah. Which, look, last week on the show I defended Douglas Murray a little bit because the guy is extremely brave. He does go to places. He does actually do some real journalism a lot of the times. He is one of the most boring and pretentious speakers that I've ever heard in my life, but his writing is tolerable.
Just a bit of a cunt.
Yeah, no. Grumpy says Doug Murray is a flag.
What's that mean?
Just take out the L.
I've never heard that. I don't know if that means.
Yeah, that's a new one. And so I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts on the whole debate that's going on? I know Nick has probably seen more about it than Alden has.
Yeah. I mean, I think Liam's tweet kind of really sums it up well. I mean, it's not just the post 9/11 interventionism, but it's everything that led up to it. You know, the whole kind of post World War II world order. You know, starting in the Cold War, and then that went into Korea because we've got to stop the commies there. Vietnam, you know, all the, you know, you had Iran Contra overthrowing dictators in the overthrowing commies here, overthrowing commies there, everything, just all these actions that are like, yeah, when you look at it, Iran's our enemy. Why is that? Well, we overthrew a democratically elected guy there because we wanted the British oil to stay. We didn't want them nationalizing the oil is what it came down to, and wanted to allow British Petroleum to continue to pull it out and basically own it, and nothing goes back there, and they wanted a little bit for themselves. So we overthrew that and installed the Shah, and that was brutal. And then you had Ayatollah coming, and when that happened, they were like, oh well, he's our friend from France, so we'll let that happen. And then it turned out he didn't much care for us, and so that's kicked, or Israel or anything like that, so that's kicked off that. Scott Horton has talked many times about the hijackers from 9/11 coming, kind of basically seeing strikes that were done with American backing on refugee camps by Israel in Lebanon.
Yeah,
I believe.
What's funny also is that none of these guys would say that Scott Horton is an expert. And I know Scott Horton doesn't say Scott Horton's an expert, but Scott Horton has interviewed how many thousands of interviews have he done on these?
Over 6,000 interviews over 20 years.
Interviews over 20 years.
This is why I asked, like, how do you define an expert? And another parallel to go ahead.
No, I was just going to answer your question. I think they define it by someone in academia who has studied
this. This is what I was going to say is that now you have to go through certain official channels to be deemed an expert, and you get a very focused groupthink happening. And in COVID, when we're just another parallel to the COVID era here, when we had people that were experts that were in academia or in medicine or whatever, that all think the same way and all were like, you got to do the same thing or whatever.
They all think the same way.
Did I say that? Whoops.
I'm sorry.
I'm not an expert. But anyway, this was what we were seeing then, was that anyone that came from a different vantage point than someone steeped in academia, or like, if you went against whatever, the WHO or your hospital or whatever the hell it was, then, I don't know. I just don't like, we talked about slippery slopes and forcing someone to listen only to people that go through official channels is just a really easy way to.
And Stephen, I'm going to tell the audience about you here in just a second. But before we get to that, like someone who has, let's take Stephen's job. Anybody who's out there who's just listening, Stephen just joined the show. He replaced Zach. Zach got kicked off, I guess. Zach.
Cheers, fellas.
Something wrong.
Cheers.
So, cheers to Stephen. Since the beginning of the show, we've added 2 new people and cut 1 off. So if you're listening, I apologize for the change in people. So change in voices. But like, let's take Stephen's profession. If Stephen just grew up learning from his dad about surveying, we'll say, okay, and Stephen would go out surveying with his dad, he'd learn all on the job. But then you take a college kid who actually, or somebody who's just studied surveying for, a decade, 2 decades, depending on, what academic curriculum you're talking about here. Obviously, this doesn't always apply to surveying, but the person who did the on-the-job experience, who didn't go to college, is going to have way, way, way more knowledge than the person who just studied it out of books and didn't actually ever go do it in real life, which is why I detest the idea that you have to be some highly educated person in order to have an opinion and in order to be an expert on something. I think it's
You're just talking about this with film school too. Like, it's a similar parallel where it's like you can get experience other ways. And does that 100%. Make you not an expert? If you go on to be like, I don't know, did Steven Spielberg go to film school? Like, I don't know. Like, and I legitimately don't know, but like, just ostensibly, like, what if he didn't? Like, does that mean he's not an expert? It's like he clearly knows what he's doing or whatever. Anyway. This doesn't make sense to me.
Brian says you're only an expert if you have the correct opinion. Trademark.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's.
But I think I think it's the fact that expert has been, and I think we covered this a little bit last week, that an expert has been so tied to that academia. Like you were saying last week, Jake, that you know, to a certain extent, we could consider Dave an expert. I mean, he studies all this stuff. He reads on it. He's constantly paying attention, and he's drawn opinions from that. You know, that's kind of academic work, except he's not sitting down going through the peer-reviewed publishing, and
it also shouldn't
that.
fucking matter. It's the goddamn freedom of speech. Like, what are we gonna like start silencing people just because they've not gone through again the proper channels or something? Like, I don't even understand why it matters.
I'm just saying whenever there's a hesitancy, when there's a hesitancy to not claim that you're an expert, I think it comes from that, where it's like, hey, I kind of, you know, well, one, you kind of know where you stand and you kind of have a feeling. It's like whatever that curve is, right? It's like you think you know, and then as you learn more, you realize you don't know, and then you.
What was that? Dunning-Kruger.
Dunning-Kruger, yes.
Yeah. I will retract a statement that I made last night temporarily, or last week. And that I stated that I thought it was false humility when Dave says he's not an expert. He went into that in one episode this week, and I no longer think it's false humility. I think he is being completely truthful when he says that he is not an expert, which I don't know. That makes me respect him a little bit. He basically compared it to MMA, where the more you learn in MMA, the more exactly what you're saying, the Dunning-Kruger.
The more you know you don't know.
The more you realize, oh, I'm not very good at this. Like
I thought the Dunning-Kruger was like that you think. No, maybe that is the same basic thing, is where you think that you know more until you start doing it. Basically, it's the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you know nothing, and then you think you know a lot, and then as you continue to study and learn more, you realize how much you don't know.
Failure.
It's a cognitive bias where people with limited competence in a specific area overestimate their abilities. This occurs because a lack of self-awareness prevents them from accurately assessing their own skills. Okay, so maybe it's not.
Yeah, because that sounds almost more.
Yeah, well, it's
the Dunning-Kruger effect.
You think you're better than you are until you actually get into it.
Yes,
get humbled by it. Yeah.
Because obviously, once you do realize that you're dumber than you actually are.
I have something to add to this, though. That
go ahead.
This is a pretty common thing with people, like a human trait. There are areas where it's more obvious that you failed. MMA, perfect example. You got your fucking ass beat. Like, there's no way around it. There's no one's going to be able to get up from that and be like, I won that fight. Or like, if you're like a mechanic and you try to fix your car and it fucking breaks down and explodes. Like, I mean, like, there's no way that you're just like, all right, I'm humbled by it. I got to take it in and have an expert look at it. The problem is with things that are more like soft skill things and politics and social things, and like people will still think they're right even though their logic does not add up, but they don't see it. And I think that they keep going into the world and just perpetuate this belief that they're better than they are because there's not that concrete thing. Do you know where I see this a lot too is my field. There's a lot of, everyone thinks they're a designer because they got Canva or whatever, and like it's very hard for me when I'm looking at it, I'm like, oof, no, you failed, and they don't know that they failed because there's not a concrete. It's not like the fucking transmission exploded. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not a tangible, finite reason to point to and be like, no, it's not, that logo's not working because, you know, it's just, it seems more subjective. Anyway. Dude,
same thing happened to me this week. Like, very similar thing happened to me this week. I got invited on a podcast. I went to research the podcast. It was a filmmaker and a professor of film, like somebody who critiques and like dives into the depths of the story and the plot and all that kind of stuff. I listened to 5 seconds of their podcast and was like, neither of these people are filmmakers or know anything about film. Like they think they know,
right?
Like, and it's exactly that. Like, they have no idea what the
because art is
audio
more subjective.
Alone, the audio alone from these two. I mean, there's like 60-year-old professionals in the industry.
Wow.
They should know how to put a mic on a computer and sound good. Anyway.
Wow. Yeah.
It's exactly that. And So I will say,
I thought that we had audio issues on this particular show too.
We never have.
Funny.
We never have audio issues on this show ever. I don't know what you're talking about. The only category where I think you should require experts. Grumpy mentions it perfectly. He says you can't become a memeologist unless you've been to the Gnome Institute of Technology. So unless you've like served under the likes of Grumpy Gnome, you are not a memeologist.
My contest to that is that I did a hard 6 months on the Kekistan 420 Brigade.
You're veteran of the meme wars, huh?
I'm a seasoned veteran.
Oh, we salute you. All right, y'all. Anybody got anything else substantive to say about this anti-Americanism BS?
Well, wait. I mean, just overall.
Before you do that, let's watch one more video, and then Stephen can give his spiel, and then we'll move on to the next one. This is Konstantin Kisin. If you don't know who he is, he's on trigonometry. And I used to really enjoy his stuff, and recently he's becoming worse and worse and worse.
I never really got him. I was always like, I don't see it with this guy. So,
well, here you go.
Smith and Rogan are irked when Murray expresses his befuddlement that Smith has become a prominent voice in the debate about Israel and Palestine without ever having visited the Middle East. The shock at the idea that someone ought to see things with their own eyes before commenting on them is palpable. Indeed, in the aftermath of the debate, Smith promoted a popular video in which Murray's statements to this effect are contrasted with his previous ridicule of the concept of lived experience. This is very low-quality thinking. If you do not see things with your own eyes, your opinions are by definition not your own. Smith and Rogan are irked when...
That is the stupidest thing. Like, this guy's supposed to be an intellectual who like thinks deeply about these topics and understands philosophy and all this stuff. He just said, if you don't see it in person, you cannot, your opinion is not your own.
How is there any single historian then? Well, any single person who's talking about anything that happened before they were born, that doesn't make sense.
This would prove that the Holocaust wasn't that bad and didn't really happen.
And I guess Stevie Wonder is just a cover band.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
Oh, that's good.
Oh,
I'm not even going to go into the whole thing about vision and the senses, and because the Stevie Wonder comment, that's just, I'm not going to top that. So
that's so funny. Some quack. Did Dave tackle this one as well? I didn't see his response to Kiss.
I don't know.
While he's getting through
did an episode I think came out that as a response to him. I think yesterday. I haven't gotten there to know.
Okay.
Well, and just anti-Americanism in general, it doesn't have anything to do with the David Murray stuff, but just like Bernie Sanders and the occasional Cortex going around, doing that, topple the oligarchy. Only in America can communists spend $250,000 a month on private jets, going coast to coast, talking about bashing capitalism, and actually draw an audience.
Yeah.
I mean, just the irony of that entire scenario is just baffling. The irony, man. That's wild. All right, y'all. We're going to move on.
I am not fucking drunk.
Well, 19th blue.
Every pretty girl deserves to go to a ball.
This is everything about it's a clam. I love it.
I gotta be honest with you, I feel like I'm a little bit too drunk to stand up. On Wiedersehen, asshole.
I'm drunk right now.
It's still funny every time. Real quick, Some Quack says she only made it halfway through, but he threw some straw men right back. I feel like Dave's been doing that regularly recently. He's been throwing straw men. That was one of my biggest points with in the Douglas Murray thing. I thought he threw some straw men, and Rogan joined in right back at Douglas Murray, and I didn't care for it. He's generally in the past been very good at not arguing straw men, but he's been doing it more and more recently, which has been driving me crazy.
He must be working on a new comedy set.
Maybe.
You know, you can only focus, focus on one or the other. You can't do both at the same time.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. This is a long drunkard of the week. Utterly painful. Feel free to talk over her. This whole thing is exhausting. So enjoy.
Time on how politics ruined my last relationship. So let me set the scene for you. I was dating this guy. We've been dating for 5 months. And in those 5 months, I was told by my friends, Zoe, he lives in Indiana. He's a fucking Republican. I was like, politics don't matter to me. Boy, was I wrong. And so I was like, it's fine. I don't care. I'm going to get to know him first. We'll decide later. So then we kind of start talking about it. I'm a very liberal woman, so I am obviously like very much, everyone knows that I'm a liberal woman. My brother's gay, all my friends are gay, also like abortion rights, female rights. But anyways, so I would like always ask him, I'd be like, what's your politics? Like, where do you lean? And he was just like, well, like socially, I'm a liberal, but economically, I'm a Republican. Fuck that. Okay. Also, he was a 28-year-old man. That's the first red flag, because if there's a 28-year-old man and he's single, there's a fucking reason that he's single. But anyways, so then I'm like, well, like what makes you, economically Republican? Because like I can give you a whole bunch of fucking facts right now that prove that you shouldn't be. And he was like, all of his info is from his friends. And I was like, you get all your information from your fucking redneck friends. Obviously, you can't trust them. You need to do the research yourself. And if you do the research, I told him, I was like, I'll support you based on your decision if you actually research it yourself. Like, I won't care if you're a Republican. But anyways, and so he was like, Zoe, I have much better things to do than research politics. Like, I have way more important things to do.
Amen.
Okay, saying that to me is absolutely fucking insane, but go off, King. I also just didn't care at that point. And so I kind of put it on the back burner. I was like, I can't fucking take this right now. Well, then we get into a little spat a couple days before election day, and we almost broke up. And so I was like, nah, it's fine, I'll give him one more chance, blah, 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 blah. Well, then election day rolls around, and, well, actually, before this, he was not registered to vote. He had never voted before, and he told me that he wanted to vote in this election. And I was like, okay, cool, do the research, but that's a whole other thing. And so the voter registration deadline was approaching. I could tell he was going to vote against me, let's just say it like that. And so I was like, he is not going to make an educated decision on who he votes for, so guess what? I'm not going to remind him of this voter registration deadline. So then it passed. He didn't register to vote, so there we go. It was saved. He wasn't going to vote. I wouldn't have to deal with it then. But then we got into that little spat, and I was like, let me try one more time. Let me see if he's learned anything from me. And I asked him, point blank on election day, I'm like, so who would you have voted for if you would have voted in this election? He was like, I would have voted independent. And I was like, do you know that how harmful and basically wasteful that is? And also, like, check your privilege by saying you're going to vote independently. And he was like, wow, Zoe, I cannot believe that you think my vote would have been a waste. Shut the fuck up, because it is a waste. Look at fucking Philadelphia. All those independent voters could have put us over the edge and could have helped Kamala win. That's another story. And so I was like trying to tell him, I was like, listen, that's harmful. You have to make a decision, because the way that our voting works, like the two-party system, is a fucking joke. You have to pick a side. The independent party never has a chance. So you have to pick a side. And we got into a huge argument about it. And I was like, fuck this. This is my last straw. Again, I'm a very liberal woman. I have to date someone that is on the same page as me, because I can't disagree with someone on something that is so important to me for the rest of my life.
There you go.
I fully respect Republicans. I understand that you want to vote that way, but for me, I don't want to marry you and I don't want to date you. So we ended it. And
good luck with
no regrets. I've been single ever since. It was awesome. It's been awesome.
I'm not as think as you drunk I am.
Why is that not a red flag for her to be single?
Yeah.
So one thing to consider on this is, I bet, well, who knows this guy, but it's been shown that the left side of things can't articulate the position of the right side of things quite as well as the right can articulate the left's position. So, I think if you pushed her in any way, shape, or form, it would just go back to, racist, sexist, you hear that in there. Abortion rights, women's rights.
And then,
dude,
if I heard one more of those fucking stupid faux screen things,
Brian,
Jesus,
who would date this person? Brian, honestly, completely agree. Like, You want to know why America's marriage rates are dropping? This girl.
Yeah.
That whole attitude. But everything she just said.
This plus OnlyFans.
Okay.
Which she's probably on.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, dude, this entire rant was so unhinged, so like illogical. She contradicted herself at least 3 times. Calls herself a liberal and then absolutely doesn't stand for any differing opinion whatsoever. Says she'll respect his choice if he does his own research. He does his own research, votes
but
independent,
comes with a different
craps on him.
result. Yeah. And she said voted against me. We were just talking about like the identity in politics problem or whatever, and she's so wrapped up in it that the outcome of it, she's tied literally the word me herself to her candidate. Like, anyway.
Yeah, that is really sad.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. So that was our drunkard of the week. We call her Sad Queen.
Yikes.
I guess her name is Zoe. I didn't catch that the first time through, but I mean the fake like little laughs, man. Like,
oh god, the laugh and I don't know what's worse, the laugh or the scream. It's pretty bad.
I don't are women talking like that now? Like I haven't been in the dating pool.
Not the ones I talk to.
Decade. So like they talk like that regularly. Like that's their how they do it.
Back when I was still dating over 10 years ago, yes.
Right.
Oh yeah. I mean, especially just go around Georgia Tech, especially like Virginia Highlands, that area.
That is so cool. That is nothing. It makes nothing of what they say sound real or trustworthy or true or honest.
It's this whole culture, I think, of like acting like you constantly have somebody watching your video clips or your sound bites.
Oh,
like you think your life is. It's like the reverse Truman Show. It's like you think your life is a show and you're actually living that way, as opposed to
I was just hanging out with my nephews.
Yeah.
And whenever someone was like taking a picture or filming or whatever, like you could tell like the kid like acts different kind of a thing or whatever. It's like that same phenomenon, but just like,
interesting.
Older, whatever, aged out.
That is such a good point, y'all. Like, the fact that they're on camera all the time, they think that people are watching them all the time. It's like this is all performative. That no wonder it sounds fake and dishonest. Like
it is
performance.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a good point.
I don't know that I've ever. That is so foreign to me. Like I don't think I've ever been in front of a camera and just not said exactly what I was thinking. Like I don't.
That's what gets me in trouble on this show, man.
I don't.
You combine that with alcohol, man.
Yeah, I don't get that mindset, man. That's a lot. Anyway, that chick haunts my dreams now. I can't believe people are going to women. That is very sad. You're welcome.
I really just don't. The main one of the things that's just haunting me now is like he's single at 28, red flag. Like what? Like are you not even allowed to be single? Like you're supposed to have permanently paired off before 28 or something? Like statistically that just doesn't even work. I don't even understand this.
I was single until 30. Like I mean, to be fair, there's plenty wrong with me, so it makes sense.
Bad example, but right.
And I don't know how to vet this, but I'll give you $10 if she grew up in a house with both parents.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to take
definitely daddy issues.
I don't know
whether he was there or not there.
I was going to say the only other option for that is that she grew up in a household where the dad was submissive and the mom was dominant.
There you go.
Which could lead to daddy issues.
That was my case, actually, though. See, it really just depends on.
You're not a chick. You're a dude.
That's so far true. We'll see. Give it a few more years here. 2027. We don't know.
Fair enough. All right. Our next topic is an RFK thing. War on the autistics.
Libertarian lives matter.
Libertarian lives matter. That's the hashtag for tonight. Libertarian lives matter. Dadgummit. You got to remove.
Oh,
that.
so okay.
Woo. RFK to launch National Autism Registry collecting Americans' medical records. This has never gone poorly in the past. Robert F. Kennedy is planning to start a National Autism Registry as part of his broad plan to study the cause of autism. Kennedy's program would gather private medical records from the public. Last week, Kennedy claimed that autism is a preventable disease. Man, so many things to talk about here, but
you could give them all a gold star, but they would spend way too much time comparing the equal length of each leg of the star. No, seriously though, like I understand what he's doing. So like let keep your eye on the prize here. Like, what's the ultimate goal? What got this guy in the spotlight? Right? It was 2018, 2019. Yep. He brought a case that went all the way up to Supreme Court against HHS. And he had the Health and Human Services Secretary testify in front of Supreme Court that, so the whole Reagan vaccine legal immunity thing, there's a caveat to that like, I think it's every 2 years, there's supposed to be a safety and efficacy study that is then reviewed by Congress and published in order for the vaccine makers to maintain their legal immunity. And so he files this case, and it goes all the way up to Supreme Court. HHS Secretary at the time, I think it was Kathleen Sebelius? I forget who it was. Straight up said that the whole reason we're here is because we haven't provided you these records, and we haven't provided them to you is because they don't exist. And so he said, at that point, you should not have legal immunity for many injuries caused by vaccines if you're not doing your due diligence to prove they're safe and effective on the back end, because that was the deal. That was the deal Reagan made. Reagan did a lot of things that he didn't realize, he was screwing the place up.
Right.
It was just, hey, sounds like a good deal. You do this, you do that. And then neither party did this or that. And now 40 years later, we're like, screw that guy. So, and this is one of those things. So this is what he's trying to do. Like this was his mission when he was just an attorney before he even entered into the foray of politics on this national level. So like, I understand what he's trying to do. Like you're trying to get hard concrete proof in a government reviewed database where you can say, you can say, hey, this was this, then this happened, and now this is up here.
Yeah.
And it has to be in a government database for him on a government level to issue a government solution to this problem. And the only way to get that in a database is by violating civil rights.
I mean, I feel like there would be a healthy market for people to voluntarily give over data for a study on the causes of it.
I do think it's going to be more voluntary, and I do think they're going to it's still government. They're going to mess up a lot. I do think I read another article where they are putting a emphasis on everything being anonymous and not actually exposing any data. Obviously, that will fail. They will definitely print the registry and send it to every reporter. They'll
cross-reference it with gun owners.
Yeah. I mean, Grumpy had the best comment of the night. All he has to do is the voting records for the Libertarian Party.
Yeah, Stephen was talking and I couldn't stop laughing when you put that up.
But
I mean,
there's just so many ways this could go wrong. Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't look too close into this on it. I mean, I saw whenever this came up, and of course, there's the civil rights the civil rights aspect of that, and protecting personal information and not taking private medical information.
Yeah.
But I think the response that I saw a lot of was a lot of people who were, there was a lot of, well, my autistic kid can get a job and do this and live with. It's like, yes, but there's, but also like there's, it's a quote unquote spectrum, as they say, and there's the high functioning where it's some social awkwardness and this and that, and then
I was just visiting my grandma in Orlando, and she's autistic as fuck, but she's very high functioning. She's doing great, but she's she's.
Then there's like nonverbal with all these other medical issues, and you look at it and you see, what is it, 1 in 30 now? They're saying at least males or something.
That's what I heard. Is it that high? I was going to look into that to see if that was
which
correct.
is absurd for a disease that, like, if this wasn't an issue, if this wasn't, if this was always there, where are the elderly care facilities?
Is it classified as
nonverbal?
a disease?
It would have to be some sort of, I guess, disorder, autism spectrum disorder. So
disorder.
It's kind of, what's the difference between disease, disorder? I'm not quite sure on it, but where's the care homes for elderly nonverbal autistic patients, right?
I think something's classified as a disorder if it's a mental symptom that's strong enough that it interferes with the normal function of your life, basically.
So
I mean, I agree with you what you're saying.
And that's a good point, but
I'm saying,
if you can't hold a relationship or a job or whatever, then that's like a disorder.
Yeah, you've just got what's obvious, something that is more and more people are dealing with these. That's healthcare costs to families, and it comes down to something something in the food, something in the environment, something is driving up these rates. What that is, I don't know, and that's
so something I was going to bring up, and my wife kindly put this in the chat. She's very excited about it, and it is extremely interesting. Rogan had a recent episode on it, and Nikki's now been listening to this podcast called the Telepathy Tapes, and it's all about nonverbal autistic people, and every single one of them has telepathic powers. Like,
I haven't watched this myself yet.
Has legit, like, proven telepathy. They can know what another person's thinking. They can see what another person sees. Like, it is wild stuff when you hear what all they have discovered.
So I'm not trying to dilute what you say, but
go ahead.
This ties into like with other ESP type stuff. So we talked about like remote viewing before, right? Remote viewing, astral projection, things like that. My dad has actually been to some conferences on remote viewing with this guy, Major Ed Dames. He's always on Coast to Coast AM talking about that kind of stuff. He was in the U.S. Army. That was
the
his
Art
job.
Bell show or whatever.
Yeah. Well, now it's George Norrie. Has been for 25 years.
I was to say what era of it, but I know it from Art Bell. But...
Well, oddly enough, Major Ed Dames is both. He's an Art Bell guy that carried over to George Norrie. Yeah.
Wow.
And like he's totally off the grid now. But anyways, one of the key things they teach in his remote viewing course when he's putting you through the entry level, like, do you have what it takes? He even says, if you're an empath, if you have empathy, you will not be able to tap into this skill.
Really?
Yeah. And he's like, if you're good at sensing and forging emotional connections to people around you, you will not be able to tap into this. He's like, there is a 95% chance
this
class is a waste of your time.
Is it because you're picking up on feelings as a priority over thoughts, kind of a thing? Like, is it
I would think, you're getting a lot of noise from other sources.
So I'm just kind of confirming, what you're saying just from a different aspect.
And that's kind of my theory. Like, one of my theories was it's the nonverbal ones that have these telepathic things, and it's like
almost like blind people that hear really well, though.
Yeah,
like another sense gets amplified.
If you don't have all your senses, or you're not distracted, or that sense hasn't taken over everything, like, how else are you going to communicate? And like, maybe that is something that develops. And so,
I found a copy of the Monroe tapes, the Robert Monroe tapes. I don't know if you know about the Monroe Institute, but it's about it's basically like self sort of like promoting your own like astral projection through meditative like processes and things like that or whatever. And like, I haven't tried it yet, but I've been really curious to dive into it. But
astral projection is real, dude.
Dude, I've heard so many stories from people that like I have no doubt or whatever. I'm pretty open to that kind of weird shit or whatever. The CIA wouldn't invest a lot of fucking money into it too if it wasn't somewhat real or whatever. Like,
I mean, they've had some successes with it. They've proven, being able to find a Russian base or find a downed plane or things like that. So,
or a base in the middle of a mountain that the guy that gave the coordinates didn't even know was there. He gave the coordinates to his cabin, and a few miles from it was an underground base, and he at first the people gave him, they were describing this stuff and this, you know, people working in this base underground, and he's like, they don't even know. He's like, I just gave him my fishing cabin coordinates or whatever, but like 5 miles away was an actual base that was so secret even he didn't know about it. This is a documented thing. Anyway, it was a wild story.
Well, I mean, Carl Jung made his entire living talking about the collective unconscious.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, exactly. And that's it's the same thing. The movie Insidious, you know, that the basis for all those movies is based in the concept of astral projection. Now,
really?
of course,
Insidious?
Yeah, they put the Hollywood twist on it, but yeah, it's astral projection gone wrong, and that's the concept of the whole movie.
I knew it was about like the old hag and like the weird like sleep paralysis type stuff and that kind of thing. I haven't seen it.
But the only way they find it is because they enter that realm willingly and open the door.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas you do it accidentally when you're in the twilight of consciousness through sleep, and that's where some of that comes from. But like training yourself to do it not just through sleep. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, all I was gonna say is like all this stuff is cool, and we will definitely be talking about this once I watch the telepathy tapes, because I'm definitely going to watch it, and then we're going to have a full-on episode about it.
We might need to just do all listen to it and then do a special or something.
Let's do a special with a doctor who specializes in this, because I think that'd be pretty sick.
That'd be
yeah, they're the only ones that could speak to it actually, because
accurately. We have a ton of questions that they've been there.
They've seen it with their own eyes.
So yeah, maybe we'll work on that. But I think we can all agree that this push by RFK, while in good faith, I think, and with good intentions, will end in disaster and will end in a bunch of people's medical records being publicly viewed by a whole bunch of people.
Well, it's you know, it's the whole concept of like, you know, the A-bomb being created, right? You know, what was Oppenheimer's famous quote? You know, I have become death, I have become the destroyer. You know, it was this whole conquest of like, you know, I created this thing, I was on this mission because he thought he was going to give everybody free energy. You know, so you know, he thought he's coming up with this formula. We're going to do this, and we're going to give everybody free energy, right? And
we're going to tap into 0 point energy.
Yeah, military generals are like, yeah, we're going to give everybody free energy, right? You know,
right after we melt a lot of faces off.
We're going to vaporize them for free with energy. Same kind of thing here. You know, he's asking us to forge this weapon for him to use, but how do we guarantee that whoever is not him after him can't pick this thing up and use it?
They will. You know, they will. It's going to happen.
Yeah, they will. It might even work under him, but yeah, it's the next person down the line. It's what does this do? There's a lot of questions.
You also have to remember when it comes to this, like whenever aliens from the future are depicted in movies, they always are tiny little humans with telepathic powers. So are the autists, are all these autistic people just what our future selves are going to be?
The future of the human
in our
genome
current skin that we have right now.
Well, that was what was
this
that?
is the next level of evolution, is what you're saying.
There we go. That's what I'm saying.
What was that sci-fi show with Placie from Dawson's Creek? Fringe.
Oh, Fringe.
Yeah,
Fringe was great.
Yeah, it was Placie from Dawson's Creek that was in Fringe, but that was they had.
I'd love to know his name from Dawson's Creek and not from Fringe. you are such a little girl. Oh my gosh.
Well, let's just say I dated a Zoe in middle school. Okay.
Hey, I was Dawson's Creek. I knew Placie. I wrote a letter once saying,
I've never watched Dawson's Creek. So.
But you know, in the later seasons, that was what they talked about, because there were like the Watchers, you know, that came back and was like, you know, we developed the ability to manipulate time, and we came back because we had to stop us from ourselves.
That's similar to the Arrival movie, the newer.
But I mean, Alden, did you watch Fringe?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna go back and watch Fringe. You should watch.
Oh, dude, it's so great. It's on Amazon.
Watch it.
It's so stinking good. Yeah. All right, y'all. We're gonna move on.
One last thing on it, though. But yeah, I think there is a definite need as far as autism goes to kind of study these things a little more. Like I was watching, what was it? Del Bigtree was at one point breaking down that they've been teaching a lot of autistic kids to use like spelling devices so that they nonverbal kids, and they're able to start communicating through being able to actually punch in the words they're trying to say.
It's like a cat that has a whole map that they're like hungry.
They got to train. They got to train up that skill. But it seems like they've had a lot of success with people trying to get that going. And there's so much we don't know, and so many people afflicted with this at this point that something someone needs to be doing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was really offended by this out.
No, Alden, I was cracking up because every other person that I know only knows that system from dog videos. You're the only person I've ever heard say a cat, ever.
Some of them are cats, yeah.
I didn't even know cats did that. I only knew dogs.
Yeah.
I saw a video of a pig doing it.
Yeah, pigs are pretty smart, honestly. They can do it.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of porn are you watching, Nick? That's weird. All right, we're moving on. All right, everybody. Welcome to Libations Trivia Jake Edition.
Jake Edition.
Music.
Nikki just keeps saying, listen to the podcast. Yeah, we're all gonna listen, Nikki.
Yes, it came on. This came on my radar within the past week or so. I haven't gotten around to.
We're all on board.
About the telepathy tapes thing or something? Or?
Yeah, telepathy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I have it pulled up here.
All right, everybody. Let me.
Hopeful.
Hopeful. Yes. Let me get a scoreboard going real quick.
Randomness from ChatGPT.
Let's see. We've got Alden, Steven, and Nick in this one.
I thought one of your topics was going to be on.
Zach's not hopping in.
Homelessness.
Fourth slot for trivia.
No, we don't need a fourth slot for trivia. All right, so we have new rules here.
That could be in the audience. Here.
Oh yeah, Zach, either come on the show to do trivia, or don't do trivia at all. You cannot go into the audience. I forbid it. They win too much already. So y'all, we tested out this rule last week. I love this rule.
What
the
is
rule is the first answer from the audience is their answer.
We've said that before. That's what I suggested weeks ago.
Yeah. Some quack.
So you love it now. Okay, perfect. That's fine.
No,
Jake got up this idea last week. So.
No, I didn't think it up. It was from that idea. It was from Alden's idea.
Oh, okay.
I'm not stealing your idea. I'm saying we implemented it last week and it worked great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I mentioned this like as a way to mitigate the.
Even though I think I won under the old rules anyway. So.
And Nick starts at -5.
Brian made one good point, which was it discourages funny answers.
Yeah, if it's a joke, if it's clearly a joke, I even vote disregard it as but still show it because.
Okay, yeah. If you say something like Jackie Chan, who was the last pope, then I'm not going to count that as the first.
Unless it's correct.
Well, if that's correct, then we're living in a completely different world than what I thought we were.
Is Jackie Chan the 8th?
Is it true that there's only one slot left in terms of like the little like the pictures of the Pope?
Yeah, that's a whole
right? Is that a real
conspiracy
thing?
theory.
Yeah, because I've seen some stuff on that where they're like, it's the end of the world after that. And
there's also not supposed to be a Jesuit Pope, and we just had one, and the world did not end.
Yeah, it's like some.
I'm not sure about that, Stephen. The world seems ended to me. We're going to stop talking now, and I'm going to introduce trivia. The topics for today are this day in history, Popeful, and randomness from ChatGPT because I couldn't think of a third category. 3 rounds, 8 questions, 6 questions, and 4 questions, 1, 2, and 3 points each. Every contestant answers with a whiteboard or piece of paper. Each member of the audience, actually the first member of the audience to answer is the answer for the entire audience. If you blurt out an answer, you lose a point. The winner is no longer a loser. Round 1, this day in history, 8 questions. Question number 1. On this day in 1800, $5,000 was approved to buy books, effectively establishing what famous library? Y'all have 15 seconds. Grumpy's asking, where's Hannah? It's a good question. She should be here by now because it's far later than when we normally start trivia. 3, 2, 1. Let's show them. Nick, what do you got?
I says Library of Congress.
All right. Steven, what do you got?
Also said Congress.
All right, Alden, what do you got?
I went New York.
The answer is Library of Congress. Bravo to Nick and Steven. The audience didn't guess once, although I'll give them 5 more seconds.
That's true. The delay.
There seems to be a pretty big delay today. It might have something to do with phone booth.
I was gonna say I've even noticed. I feel like I've been stepping on more like toes, talking a little bit today, and I think it might be from a bit of a lag. But
yeah, I mean,
or I'm just a rude piece of
also
shit.
be having issues. I mean, that too.
Yeah,
I've always thought that about you. We don't get along very well at all.
No.
All right. I guess the audience didn't answer. Question number 2. On this day in 1953, what controversial figure was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II? 15 seconds. Zach's boycotting. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alden, what do you got?
Elvis.
Steven, what do you got?
Paul McCartney.
All right. Nick, what do you got?
Paul McCartney.
Jimmy Savile.
Grumpy does put in the Jackie Chan. Everybody gets it wrong. It is Winston Churchill.
Wow.
You sure it's not Jackie Chan?
I mean, it could have been the same year. Probably not. Question number 3. On this day in 1980, what rescue mission ends in disaster?
1980 rescue mission.
15 seconds.
$1980.
I have no idea.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nick, what do you got?
I said Challenger.
Oh God,
that's a bad disaster, Nick. I mean,
missing in action. It's a Chuck Norris movie.
Alden, you got anything?
Cliffhanger.
Y'all are all incorrect. It is the Iran hostage crisis.
Oh God.
All right. Question number 4.
I need to know what year Cliffhanger was.
On this day in 1982, which Oscar winner released their first workout video, sparking an aerobics trend? Give you a hint, it's a female.
Oh,
what I needed.
Just trying to disregard this first one.
I hope.
Oh man,
Chuck Norris. 3, 2.
I'm gonna leave it because I don't know. So
go. All right, Alden, what do you got?
Richard Simmons.
Actually, Richard Simmons did put out a workout video soon after to capitalize on the
Is that right? Because I knew the era, and I'm like, Oscar. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
but I was like
right
the only
after.
name I could think of. Like
It was right after. Yeah, Steven, go ahead.
Funny.
So I said Jane Fonda, and she's got a motor in the back of her Honda.
Nick, what do you got?
I went with Richard Simmons also.
Hilarious.
Everything's-
It is Jane Fonda.
Nice.
Steven is currently in the lead.
Hanoi Jane.
Cliffhanger was way later. It was 1993, apparently. So I haven't seen it since I was like 5 years old. I don't know.
Yeah. Question number 5. On this day in 1916, the Irish Republican Brotherhood launched an armed uprising against British rule. What was that day dubbed? 15 seconds. Part of the answer is a national holiday here in the United States. Only part of the answer. Actually, maybe not a national holiday, but it is a holiday here in the United States. Yeah, I know the audience got Jane Fonda. Did I not say that? My bad. My bad, y'all. My bad. I already marked it down. 3, 2, 1. Nick, what do you got?
Guinness Day.
Steven, what do you got?
I just said Rebellion Day.
That's good too. Alden.
Yeah.
Guinness Independence Day.
Mickey says Bloody Sunday. Some Quack says Black Christmas. The answer is Easter Rising.
Oh. Yeah.
Grumpy gives the best answer, which is Potato Day. All right, question number 6. On this day in 1967, Vladimir Komarov became the first person to do what during a space mission? 15 seconds. Three, 2, 1. Alden, what do you got?
I have a joke and a real guess.
Okay.
Masturbate. And then I decided to throw in spacewalk just as an actual guess.
Knew somebody was going to say masturbate. And 2 people did. Grumpy said masturbate.
Me did also.
All right, next best thing. Took a poo-poo.
Poo-poo in space.
Nick, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm along the same lines.
Bathroom. All right. We have spacewalk, masturbate, and party. All of which sound like they could be done in one sitting.
Party.
The answer is die.
Party. No way. Is that right? Yeah. Jesus, that's dark. I think I'd rather poop or jerk, man.
Who wouldn't rather jerk than die? Like,
I mean, there has not been that many people die actually in space.
That's very true.
It's always in the atmosphere.
Watch a movie, Nick.
Or
thousands of people have died in space. I've seen it with my own eyes, so I know.
He's been there. He's been there.
Been there.
Okay. Question number 7. On this day in 1898, what country declared war on the USA? This is a tough one. I didn't even know this.
Yeah, they're stupid.
Yeah.
There's my answer.
10.
That's your answer.
9, 8, 7, 6. Grumpy says no one's been to space.
Not even Katy Perry?
All right, Alden, what do you got?
Spain.
All right, Steven.
Canada.
All right, Nick.
That would be
Mexico.
I had Mexico.
Canada. The answer is Spain.
Hey, I changed it, and I got it
on the board.
When Jake was like, "I didn't know this," I was like, "I'm not gonna put Mexico because I feel like that's too obvious." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Spanish-American War, is that not? I don't know.
They got some Spanish to do.
That felt like it was a little late for that. But
I agree, Nick. But it was 1898. It's weird.
Yeah.
Question number 8. Final question of the round. On this day in 2005, Joseph Ratzinger became one of the most famous men in the world, but under a different name. What was that name?
2005. The year the Real ID Act was introduced, apparently, according to Brian.
Yeah, there you go. That's also when I first started getting tickets for not wearing a seatbelt in my truck. And I told the cop, "Thank you for that. See you next week."
5 seconds. 2, 1. Nick.
Oh no.
This is Benedict, I believe the 16th.
All right, Steven.
I got nothing.
Alden.
I'm so bad at pop. I was trying to think of his fucking name, and I can't think of the twerp's name, but never mind. Doesn't matter.
The answer is Pope Benedict the 16th. So
no. Interesting. Or is this like a segue into the next?
It is. I
was totally wrong. I was trying to think of a pop artist. But...
The second round of my trivia always has something to do with an answer from the first round. And we hadn't had a Pope
breadcrumbs
yet. So yeah, breadcrumbs. Round number 2, Popeful. Full of popes. If y'all don't know, the Pope died on Easter, which is...
Wait, did you say what? The current Pope just died?
On Easter.
This
Easter Monday.
Just now.
He died.
Yeah.
On Monday morning, but yeah.
No, he died on Easter.
I literally was just talking about there only being one more slot for a pope on the whole fucking that whole ball thing or whatever.
We've reached that last slot.
Well, now I'm nervous. Thank you for that.
You should be nervous. Yeah, you should be. All right. After one round, Steven and Nick are tied at 2. Alden and the audience are tied at 1. Audience is really slacking this week, but so are the cast members.
They're slacking off in space.
Sponsored by Blue Origin.
Question
Blue
number
Origin?
1. Who was the first pope of the Catholic Church? 15 seconds. Grumpy already has the correct answer. It is Pope Gnome the First.
Yeah. We need the number.
Katy Perry's ritual killed the Pope.
Oh God, probably.
I'm pretty sure it was J.D. Vance, just like J.D. Vance started the war between India and Pakistan.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Hey,
5 seconds. 4.
J.D. Vance in the conservatory with a pillow.
2, 1. All right, Nick, what do you got?
St. Peter.
All right, Steven.
I said Jesus Christ. Gang, gang.
Alden.
This is one of the areas I know the least about, so I don't know if this makes any sense. I said Pope Gregory.
All right. The audience says Pius. The answer is St. Peter.
Yeah, I figured I wasn't going to get that one. When I saw a whole category on popes, I was like, no,
Yeah,
it's not my week.
Good luck to anybody, honestly.
You just gotta guess. You gotta guess Leo, Innocent, Urban, Gregory. I think that's Benedict. There's been like 16 of those.
16.
Yeah. 16 freaking
16 traitors.
Why do they change their name? Why? What is the point of that? Just keep the same name. Then we'd have all different names and it'd be awesome. Freaking dummies. All right, question number 2.
This one would have been Pope Jorge if that was.
Pope Urban II was famous for initiating what in 1095? 15 seconds. You should all get this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alden, what do you got?
Vaccine mandates.
Steven.
Battle of Hastings.
All right, Nick.
Great Schism.
Oh my
Or
God.
maybe Real ID. I don't know.
Nobody got it. Some quack says public transit.
Yeah, you said we should all get it, and I was like,
First Crusade. Give me a break.
Oh,
What?
yeah.
How do you not know about the Crusades? That is.
I don't know anything about popes.
That the only thing the Pope had to do with it was declaring it. Other than that, the Crusades are a massive part of history.
Yes,
that's true, but I don't know the Pope part.
Well, and I knew when they started, plus or minus 100 years.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Question number 3. Grumpy also says kitty diddling.
Officially initiates.
What is the name of the residence of the Pope in Vatican City?
The official residence.
What does that mean? What is the name of the residence of the Pope?
Well,
in
this
Vatican City?
this latest Pope didn't live in the official residence.
Okay, well, probably the official residence then. That is not a good sign for y'all that Nick is asking specific questions about which residence. 5, 4.
Well,
three,
he's got popes in different area codes.
1. Nick, what do you got?
The Apostolic Palace.
All right, Steven.
I said the papal residency.
All right, that's a good one. Alden.
That's basically what I said. I said Pope Town.
Zach says the Pope Hut.
The Pope Hut,
Zach
yeah.
says the Golden Calf. The answer is the Apostolic Palace.
Damn it, it's not Pope Town?
Yeah,
God.
Nick says Pope House. Yeah.
Pope
These are all-
House. See, that sounds like something I would have said.
I just
like
watched
Pope House.
that new Pope movie that came out last year. What was it called?
Conclave.
Is it called
Conclave.
the Pope? Oh,
Don't waste your time with it. It's a bunch
Ah.
of heresy and with some good acting. Really good acting.
that sounds great, actually.
Horrible religion.
I'm into it. I'm going to watch it.
It's also kind of boring.
Well, then never mind.
Pope Pius IX was the longest reigning pope in history. How long was he in the position of pope? No dirty things here. Closest gets it.
Pius IX.
Audience, you all get an answer for any number-related questions.
What was the name of his encyclical?
We're not doing the first thing for the audience of this.
All popes write an encyclical. What was the name of his encyclical?
I have no
freaking
clue what you're talking
about. Popsicle?
I heard popsicle.
Yeah.
Probably blueberry.
Encyclical. Yeah.
Steven, I'm not Catholic. I don't know what an encyclical is. You keep saying the word without giving a definition.
They have to write a book. They have to write a book. They say, hey, what is your political issue with the religion? Write a book about it, and that's it.
Oh, okay. Well, see, that's all you had to do.
Yeah.
All
Feels
right,
like we're done.
Nick, what do you got?
I said 43 years.
All right, Steven?
Ooh.
I had time for my pen to go out, but 38. 38.
Okay. Alden?
Oh, yikes. I went crazy. I went 72 versions. I mean years.
Some quack said 33. Grumpy said 69. Nicky said
69.
8.
That always gets me.
It is 33 years.
That's the longest?
On the nose. Bravo.
They need to investigate like the Pope diet or something, because that's not that
Most
long.
of them don't get elected until they're above 60 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Anymore. So.
See, I don't know this.
Yeah. 2 more questions in this round. Question number 5. Pope Benedict XVI became the first pope to do what in nearly 600 years?
Oh, God.
Not that. Zach says we need a baby pope. I think that would be such a good movie. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alden, what do you got?
I mean, apologize to the Jews. I don't know.
Steven, what do you got?
I'm still writing it, but I said wear a leisure hat. So like I know John Paul like wore a baseball cap, and that was like a big thing. So like, something that was not the official papal hat. I don't know.
Something that was common 600 years before.
All right, Nick, what do you got?
Resigned.
The correct answer is resign.
Oh, man.
The audience also got it.
I thought I was
All
so
right.
close.
Final question of round 2. Question number 6. Pope Adrian IV, Nicholas Breakspear, was the only pope of what origin? What country was he from, Alden?
I was going to say thank you.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nick, go.
I said Sweden.
All right. Steven.
I said Viking, Norway with a question mark.
Hey, Alden, what do you got?
Shot in the dark. German.
All right. We have from the audience, the first one is Australian. We also have guesses of South Africa and Viking as well.
Viking also?
Is the inner moon. The actual answer is English.
No way. There's only been one? Wow.
Yeah, pretty wild. All right. After 2 rounds with 1 remaining, Nick is in the lead with 8. The audience has 5. Steven has 2. And Alden has 1. This next round is literally you versus ChatGPT, because I said, give me 4 random trivia questions. And that's what it did. So here you go. Question number 1. What is the capital of Mongolia?
Oh, shit.
Well, Alden's not going to win.
3/4 of the residents don't have an address.
Well, I don't know what that has to do with anything. It still has.
Yeah, that's triviaception, man.
Yeah. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nick.
Ulaanbaatar.
All right. Steven.
I said not applicable because they don't have one.
I said the Hun.
It is Ulaanbaatar.
Ah.
Bravo, Nick. If anybody watched Long Way Round, you would know that.
Long Way Round was that?
It is my favorite documentary series. Long Way Round, Long Way Down, Long Way Up, and Long Way Home comes out on May 9th.
Is there a Long Way Inside? I'll watch that one.
There's not, but it's Ewan McGregor and his best friend Charlie Boorman traveling around the world on motorcycles.
I don't like him as an actor at all.
I love him as an actor, and I love him.
What do you like about him? He's so corny.
Ewan McGregor? Have you lost?
Yes, he's terrible. No. Name a role he's good in.
You're in Moulin Rouge.
Well, that's kind of. I don't watch musicals. Whatever.
You shut your dadgum mouth.
I've seen it. It was a musical, so I just like put it in the same category as almost all of the musicals. Was just meh. But
okay, well, he's not acting in this documentary series. Obviously, he's just being himself, and it's awesome.
That might be refreshing, actually. Yeah,
highly recommend to anybody out there. They're about to come out with their 4th and final season called Long Way Home, and the only bummer of a season was Long Way Up, where they tried out electric motorcycles from South America all the way up to Los Angeles.
It doesn't sound like that would work very well.
It didn't work.
How'd they get across the Darien Gap?
The entire season was them trying to find a charging station for their motorcycles.
Yeah, that will be exactly it. Did you ever see The Men Who Stare at Goats? I feel like that was like the role that I liked him, or
he was great.
Or the least in that. I feel like it fit. Like that was, if I had to pick a favorite for him, that it fit the role the best, it would be
He's
that.
great. Loved him in The Island. I love him in everything. I mean,
Star Wars. Given the Star Wars movies? No, you know what? Trainspotting wasn't bad.
Trainspotting was amazing. Star Wars movies suck in general.
Yeah, right.
The original 3. So him being bad in it means nothing because everybody was bad in it.
Yeah, but
I mean, what like Hayden Christensen? Blech, terrible.
Yeah, true. But
Natalie Portman? Blech, terrible in it.
Yeah.
The writing is horrendous. Samuel L. Jackson was bad in it.
Liam Neeson.
I love that Samuel L. Jackson.
Good part,
yeah, that's fair. I love that Sam Jackson was like, I'm only doing it if you give me a purple lightsaber. And they're like, that doesn't exist in the Star Wars universe. They fucking made it for him to get him the role. I thought that was actually pretty baller. But
Mark Hamill was terrible too, I will say.
Mark Hamill is a better voice actor than actor. He's actually a really good voice actor, and he's not
a really good voice actor. He's a terrible tweeter. He's the worst tweeter I've ever seen.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, he sucks as a person.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. It's like Obama, great voice actor, terrible president.
There we go. Question number 2. What is the main ingredient in traditional Japanese miso soup?
You mean miso?
Yeah, what is miso?
Oh.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Grumpy says, have you never seen my tweets? Nick, what do you got?
The thing that soup is mostly water.
That is the thing that it mostly is. I was gonna make the joke of like broth, like I don't know, like.
Steven, what do you got?
I said seaweed.
Okay, Alden, what do you got?
Tofu. If we're talking about miso, not the soup, like I don't know.
Some quack says seaweed. Sadly, Nikki was the second guess because she got it right. It's fermented soybean paste.
Oh,
wait! But you ain't getting soup if there's not water, so.
Is that not? I don't know. Soy makes tofu. Soy makes soybean paste. It's soy. Whatever. I don't care. I'm gonna lose. It doesn't matter.
Technically, you still could have won.
No,
you couldn't have.
No.
Question number 3.
Long ago, in a galaxy far, far away, I lost that challenge.
Who wrote the novel Brave New World?
Oh, I think I got one answer. Just in time to be too late.
Y'all,
I don't know how to spell it, but
we're still in trivia and we're 2 hours and 5 minutes in. We're going to blow through a couple things real quick after this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alden, what do you got?
Is it Aldous Huxley?
All right. Steven?
I also said Aldous Huxley.
Nick?
All right. Okay.
I'm
wrong.
should
I'm
have
not the
known
only
this,
one.
and Aldous Huxley slipped my mind, so I didn't put anything because I was trying to remember.
You won anyway. It doesn't matter.
Huxley.
O-U-S. I was
Yeah.
like, I knew I spelled it wrong, but
I'm sitting there. I keep his name slipped my mind.
Yeah, I would have only been able to remember Huxley. I would never have gotten the Aldous part. All right, final
Aldous
question.
Huxley.
If the audience gets this right and Nick doesn't, they tie. I think a tie goes to the audience.
Really?
Oh.
There's no tiebreaker.
Can
There's
you
no
rock,
more
paper,
tiebreaker.
scissors with the audience?
You should get a million
A
scissors.
15-second delay? Yeah.
Question number 4. Who painted The Persistence of Memory?
Persistence of memory.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nick, what do you got?
I have no idea. So I said Dolly.
Steven, what do you got?
I said Rembrandt.
All right. Alden, what do you got?
If I'm not mistaken, and I went to SCAD, I think it's Jackie Chan.
That's very good. Well, audience got it correct. So did Nick. It is Salvador
Dali.
Dali.
Yeah. When he
Thanks,
said
Alden.
Dali, I was like, that is.
Yeah. All
job, Nick.
right, everybody. Nick won trivia. Bravo, Nick. Bravo. Barely beat out the audience. Nick won. He had 14. Audience had 11. Steven had 5. Alden had 4. Bravo, everybody. All right, we're going to blow through these last
Zane
few,
usually.
because
Were you going to blow, Jake? I missed that.
yeah, no, that's my bad. We're going to blow through these last few because I'm technically supposed to be out of this phone booth 9 minutes ago. I can only reserve it for 2 hours a day. It's ridiculous. Not that anybody's going to come claim it. There's 3 others behind me, so they can get those. But
challenges of the homeless here.
Yeah, it is. It is. So first off, cascade effect. So there's an update on the case. I just wanted to throw this out there real quick. So the woman who owned the property, for those who don't know, we produce a show called Cascade Effect, my company, that is an investigatory podcast into incidents involving the sheriff's department and police in Cascade County, Montana. The first season is all about a shooting that took place on a civilian's property where the civilian ended up dead at the hands of a deputy of the sheriff's department.
Were
And
they also like not even in uniform and all kinds of weird stuff? And
oh, dude, there's so many things. If you want all the details,
It's
go watch
insane.
the show, because the show, I mean, we provide concrete proof that this guy was basically, I don't want to say murdered, but definitely
Wrongfully-
negligent homicide.
yeah.
At the very least.
At minimum.
Good night, Grumpy.
Night.
So the update is the property where he was shot was a woman named Pam Ciesielski, who has been in trouble with the law for 3 decades. Basically, they've accused her of animal cruelty. She's gotten convicted of animal cruelty, even though there is a large amount of evidence and eyewitnesses saying that she never actually abused animals. They're saying that she was storing the animals in poor conditions, and that she wasn't able to properly take care of the animals. She was running a no-kill shelter. But we've spoken to a few people, including one of the vets that went to her property a bunch of times, who basically said everything the sheriff's department is saying is a lie.
And they're an expert.
And they're an expert. And they
And
saw
they've been there.
They've been there. Yesterday, Pam went before a judge to be sentenced for a crime that she was convicted of, which was evidence tampering in the case case involving Mike Hansen, the civilian who got shot. They basically said that she hid animals, that she wouldn't let them get her truck, that she fled the scene, all this kind of stuff, which, I mean, much of it wasn't true. They gave her 10 years in prison for it. So yesterday she went to court and didn't come back, and now is in prison for 10 years. It seems like she's going to likely get out earlier than that. However, the judge cited previous cases that had been dismissed. He'd cited the death of Mike Hansen being on her hands and like his blood on her hands, even though the whole thing is absolutely insane.
Judges suck.
Yes.
What does that have to do with him? That she is supposedly can't take care of a chicken or something?
100%.
That doesn't make any sense.
Dude, the whole thing's wild. And I just wanted everybody to hear like what the update was, because it's a pretty big deal that this woman is now going to maybe spend 10 years. She's an elderly woman. She's like 70 years old.
Going into it, what were her lawyers thinking the sentence would have been? Were they thinking 10 years?
She spent the last year in jail.
They were thinking time served, and they turn around and slap her with 10 years.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. And so,
large discrepancy.
like I said, she's an elderly woman. She's 70 something. She legit might not make it till the end of her sentence in jail. And her crime was basically victimless. She took in animals that were already in bad shape and suffering and tried to care for them. And those are the animals that the sheriff's department ended up using against her, which is so messed up. And then when they confiscated her animals, they killed about half of them.
Oh, but then they're not charged with animal negligence or whatever the hell they were trying to say. Like,
peanut.
Yep, exactly. Peanut. That's exactly right. So basically, we are having a live Cascade Effect episode tomorrow night. We're going to rerun the last episode, which is all about Pam, and then we're going to have a Q&A afterwards. So if you want to tune into that tomorrow, please do. Peaceful Sea Network on YouTube, and then Cascade Effect on X, Rumble,
what time?
Facebook. It'll be at 9 o'clock Eastern is when we kick it off, and that's when the episode airs. It's 30 minutes long, and then we do a Q&A directly after. So if you want to tune into that, please do. We're going to be announcing exactly what we're doing in the coming seasons and how we're going to wrap up this current season.
What platform is best for the Q&A?
The most number of people, shockingly, watch it on Facebook.
Weird.
It's a Montana
thing in a while, but
it's a Montana thing. But I mean, YouTube, Rumble, like X, all that's fine.
Okay.
Any of those are fine. Another thing, when they killed Mike, they left his dog in a kennel on the property with no food and water in the middle of February in Montana.
Another just painful irony as far as the charges against the property owner. That's an insane detail.
I just wanted to give an update on that case because we've talked about it on this show a few times, and yesterday was a really, really rough day for everybody involved. And
I've been traveling, so I haven't been current on it.
It's all good.
I've not seen the latest episode.
Right now, it's just a 5-episode season. It'll be a 6-episode season, and then we'll be wrapping it up for this season and moving on to the dozens of other cases that have been presented to us since we started this.
Jeez, man.
It's wild.
Wow.
All right, before we get to the funny stuff, anybody else got anything they need to get off their chest, talk about, any news, anything like that before we end this episode?
Being a quarter after 10, I'm not going.
I would just say that if you're in the state of Georgia, there is a ballot petition motion going on for signatures for the Libertarian Party to survive. We need, I think it's 82,000 signatures in the next 15 months. Usually our anchor for ballot access is the what is the
Public Service Commission.
There you go, the PSC race. That's usually our anchor. That's usually the one where we get the threshold. But due to a lawsuit that we were not even a party to, that race did not happen this time around. And
past 2 times around.
Yeah.
2 times since 2022.
Right.
Where do you go to sign this?
You could talk to any of the Libertarian Party members in your area.
Go to lpgeorgia.com.
There you go. And if there's not one, your boy is the vice chair of Fayette and Coweta yet again.
There you go.
So I can get a signature ballot to you so you can sign it. The only thing is we do have to meet face to face for that. But if not, I can help you.
Do you need a real ID for that?
Yes, you do.
Alden could circulate the petition, right? You could send him a blank and let him circulate some to anyone he knows.
Well, we could give him a page. We can give him a page or several pages, but there's only so many per page you can get.
I know.
The pages then have to be notarized.
Oh, wait, you have to notarize every page?
Yes.
Holy shit.
There's like 10 to 15 signatures per page.
And then they're still going to disqualify half those pages.
And each page has to be notarized. Yeah.
Yeah, we on
send me what you can, and I got a couple people that will probably
in PA we didn't have to notarize every page, but what was it? It was legal size paper, 8.5 by 14, and there were a whole bunch of information at the top, and then a whole bunch of lines on the like 15 lines on the front, and then like 20 or so on the back. And our instructions were let them sign on the back, because they might look at it whenever they go to validate it, and the state might say, "Oh, these people who signed on the back, they don't know what they signed." So just on the state's own form. So when we did it, we were just, hey, only sign the front where every candidate's listed, and it's very clear, and you can't say that.
That's wild.
Yeah, I just saw a funny signature related thing where someone apparently, as a joke, like signed 3 cat head cartoon drawings on their license like years ago, and they let him through with it. They didn't notice, and it bit him in the ass later, because when he bought a house, he needed his signature to match, and he had to sign like 30 different times, like 3 cat heads on his mortgage papers. It was a hilarious little story.
That's so good. Man. Well, yeah, to sum up Steven's saying, if you would like to make sure that there is a third party represented on the ballots in Georgia, go to lpgeorgia.com, find your local affiliate, and go sign their petition, because that is definitely a big deal here in the state of Georgia to get ballot access.
It's sad that it's come to that where we need to be proactive in preserving the option. That's fine.
It's not even, we're trying to get it back. That's the crazy thing.
Well, Jesus.
It's gone. It's gone right now.
Worse than I thought.
Yep. Georgia they're ranked 50th out of 50 states for worst ballot access laws. So
perfect. Glad we live here.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
I thought we were saved. I thought, because I saw Katy Perry was in space, so I thought everything was fine. But apparently, that's not true.
All right, y'all. We're gonna move on to a few funny videos. This first one's like funny, sad.
Sad clean.
It's still kind of funny. So here you go. Here's this is the first Blue Origin flight with celebrities on it.
That's
Bezos William Shatner trying to have a heart-to-heart with Jeff Bezos on, like.
Don't you have to have a heart for that?
Yes.
Not only is it different than what you thought, it happens so quickly. You know what the impression I had that I never expected to have is you're shooting up.
Give me a champagne bottle. Come here. I want one. I want to hear this. Here.
I'll tell you what I would buy more of if he would advertise would be Hidden Valley Ranch and Bluebell ice cream.
Dude, look at that. Look at Chapman. That poor guy.
The champagne showers have begun.
Dude, Shatner was trying to describe what the feeling was like to go into space after representing a guy who was in space for like half his career, And Bezos said, screw you. Give me the champagne. He just started saying champagne. Like, what a douche.
Like, this is William Shatner, and he's like trying to impart some wisdom and some thoughts, and you're just
whatever.
We make Zuckerberg robot jokes, but like Bezos is kind of one too.
Well, worse. And I bet that was humbling for William Shatner because, like, that's the first time in 40 years that someone's been like, "Yeah, whatever." Hold on.
Yeah, I bet that whole thing was wild for everybody involved.
Yeah, that's great. Whatever. Hold on. Yeah.
All right, here's a disturbing one. This is a bunch of folks at some. Just watch.
About racism, anti-blackness, or violence. I will use my voice in the most uplifting way possible.
God, why are they still wearing masks?
All of them.
Why?
I will love my black neighbors the same as my white ones. About racism.
Why are they all white?
I was literally just gonna say I don't even know if I've spotted one black person.
Steven. It's a struggle session.
Oh, it's painful. All right, here's the next one. CCTV captures bartender landing hat right on the pub goer's head.
That's pretty good. I like it.
I mean, you gotta admit that is incredible. Like, what a
He seems
shot!
barely phazed by this.
It just lands perfectly.
That's incredible.
Hammered and has no idea what's going on. That's so funny, though. And here's a turtle riding a fish.
What?
What is happening? I've literally never seen that ever.
Turtle literally riding that.
It's quite a ride.
I mean, have you ever seen anything like that?
Never. No. I didn't even know that would ever happen.
Didn't even know that was possible. Didn't even know the turtle's legs and arms were long enough. Here you go.
Lift off. Colonel? You better take a look at this radar.
Austin Powers.
I don't know, sir. But it looks like a giant dick.
Yeah.
Take a look out of starboard. Oh my God, it looks like a huge...
Pecker!
Oh, yeah.
Wait, that's not a woodpecker. It looks like someone's...
Private! We have reports of an unidentified flying object. It is a long, smooth shaft, complete with 2 balls.
That looks just like an enormous wang. Pay attention.
I was distracted by that enormous flying...
Willie. Yeah. What's that? Well, it looks like a giant...
Johnson. Yes, sir. Get on the horn to British intelligence and let them know about this.
And there you saw. The main engine is turned off. We're now going to separate the capsule from the booster. And at that point, Kristen, that's when all 6 astronauts are going to start to feel the weightlessness. And shortly thereafter...
I have no idea what the last part is, but the first part was fun.
Austin Powers, man. It's a legend.
Oh, yeah.
All right, here you go.
Every 15 seconds, a home is broken into. That's why you need United Nations Home Security. United Nations Home Security protects your home exactly how the United Nations has protected countries since 1945. Dispatch in your house a team of highly trained, unarmed observers. Their job is to watch the burglar and take notes. His every move is seen and carefully documented. Then our 192-member United Nations Home Security Council debates until everyone can agree on an appropriate response, such as economic incentives. And if that doesn't work, economic sanctions. And if that also doesn't work, strongly worded condemnations. And if nothing else works, we will be forced to invite the burglar to join the United Nations Home Security. United Nations Home Security. There's nothing we wouldn't do for you, but little we can.
All right, final one. Nick put it in here. It's one of the anyway.
I quite enjoy these.
Oh, this is great.
These are so much fun.
Oh, is this another the comments thing?
She identifies as hurt.
Yeah.
That didn't work. Right in the non-binary. You feel the pronouns within the body. Right in the payments. No surgery needed then. Transaction denied. Ooh, writing for us. It's sort of like she got down in Fortnite. Trying to kick flip, learn how to do a lip slide. She the fluid everywhere. It almost became a must-wear. That's a cheap way to transition. In the 10 sickles hide in a transmission. Flat slam right in the mystery box. Right in the who knows what. Like you see a rod at an ATM. Oh, Black Betty jammed your clam. Busted your lip for show. Take away the no penis, I'm a slayer, Tony Hawk.
I love the end.
Oh, yeah.
9 months later, Tony Hawk was born. So good.
We used to call that a 7-ply enema. Because skateboards have 7 layers to them.
Yeah,
I enjoy those comment music videos. Those
things are so fun. They're good every time too. They're so good. All right, y'all. That'll do it for episode 122 of Liberty Libations. Thank y'all for tuning in. Head on over to peacefulseed.network to learn more about the show. You can also tune into a bunch of our other shows. You can also subscribe to our playlist on Spotify. In case you didn't know, you can watch things on Spotify now. All of our shows on the network are available for video on Spotify. You can subscribe to our playlist, which we put every single episode from all the shows we do in that playlist. So whenever we release something new, it'll be right there at the top. Spotify and Rumble are our favorite platforms for you to watch on, as well as X. Those are the ones that are most favorable to creators. So go check those out if you haven't already. And make sure to tune in next week for more Liberty Libations. We'll see y'all then. Peace.
Crew